Hey guys, Trey here with my pal, Judah. Say hey, Judah. Not quite there yet. Hope you guys are doing well today, and he's pulling on my shirt. But anyway, just kind of hanging out on my porch, and I've not shaved in quite a while, and so many of you probably didn't even notice that, probably thought I had something on my chin. But anyway, I still got the whole baby face thing going on. I envy people with a beard because I can't grow one. I really cannot, at least not a good one. And so anyway, we're just kind of hanging out. I just want to ask some of you, if you're watching this now, or if you eventually end up watching this, just to kind of join me in prayer. Heart's just really been burdened the last couple of days through a lot of things going on, particularly with the flooding in our state, the state of South Carolina. We have some friends and family that live in the Columbia area that have just really been dealing with the flooding and have just asked for prayer. I had several text me this morning and just said, just pray. We're just really dealing with a lot. Some pastor friends out that way that are just really dealing with many people who are just devastated with loss. And so it's very personal because I've lived in this state most of my life. For the most part, I've never seen flooding quite like that. So we just want to pray. Just pray for our brothers and sisters and those who are just in need and are hurting right now. We're dealing with the flood. Our area, we live in upstate South Carolina, and we were spared for the most part. We had a good bit of rain, but certainly didn't have much flooding here. And so things were fine here. But certainly want to pray for those who have experienced loss and damages, and some maybe even loss of life. And so also just been very burdened for the situation in Oregon, the shooting that took place there in Oregon, and those that lost their lives. And I don't know, and then you hear that many were targeted for being Christians. There was actually asked the question, are you a Christian? And those that said yes were shot and killed. And so that kind of shows me that after the first person was shot, whoever else was asked that question knew if they answered that question yes, what was about to happen, and they still said yes anyway. And I'm not about to try to make a comparison about here in the United States where I live compared to other countries where they deal with this kind of thing all the time. They literally have to have church underground for fear of their life, or prison. Certainly we've been very blessed in this country. Something like this that has happened is just is a very rare thing. In my lifetime, I hear all the time of stories long ago throughout history. I read in the Bible of people who gave their lives for their faith. People, even now in our modern day society in other countries, who are dealing with that kind of persecution now, and it seems like such an out of sight, out of mind, a far off thing. We weep for those, we mourn for those, and we rejoice in the gospel being the light of the gospel being shown. What is it, man? You're gonna lean back on me? Gotta be careful. But the thought of it happening here, because we're just so used to the safety and the freedom we've been able to experience here, when something like this happens, it kind of gets your attention. And Mark chapter 8 just comes back to mind when Jesus talked about taking up your cross and following him. In that moment, to that modern day audience, he, you all right? Huh? Okay. They took it as take up your cross. He might as well, they'd be like modern day saying take up your electric chair. His point was, if you're going to follow me, it really could cost you. Give me 1 second. Let me get that fixed. All right, you're good to go, buddy? Yeah, you're good. And so he's basically saying, if you're going to continue to follow me, it's been good so far. I've fed you, I've healed you, but now I'm going to the cross. They're going to kill me. It could cost you your life too. And that's how they took it, and that's why so many, after he preached that message, they got out of Dodge. They took off. They fled. But it also means that if we're going to follow Jesus, we must die daily, take up our cross and die daily. And I believe if we learn how to live for Jesus, which means take up our cross daily, die daily, to live for Christ, we have to die first. Because I wonder, if I were in that situation, what would I do? What would I say? Because it's easy for me to preach from the pulpit, be ready to die for Jesus, die daily for Jesus. But when you're in the heat of the moment, I think of how often I fail for something that's not life-threatening. And so I wonder, if I were put in a life-threatening situation, what would I do? And I think you may be having that question too. And I believe, first of all, we have to learn to live for Christ, to die daily, to live for Jesus, and to know that our identity is in Him. He's who we belong to. He's who we live for. And we don't belong to this world. We belong to Christ. And I believe if we can get to that place spiritually on a daily basis, then if we ever are put in that situation where our faith is tested, where our life could be on the line, God forbid that would ever happen again or happen to me or whoever. But if it did, I believe that we would make the right decision and we would stand for Christ in that situation. So just some thoughts on that today. Once again, pray for those affected by the flood and pray for those affected by the shooting in Oregon. My heart breaks for those that have lost life. But at the same time, I pray that God would use this to glorify Himself, and I pray the gospel would shine brighter than ever before, and people would see, Judah, you're killing me, man. You're killing me. Love you, though. I pray that people would see that Jesus is worth it. He's worth all of our lives. He's worth us laying our life down daily to glorify His name, to serve broken people, to love broken people, to reach out to sinners as He did, and to point everyone to Jesus. It's all about Him. And so I pray that the tragedy, as horrible as it was, would point more people to Christ. And I pray during those affected by the floods in South Carolina, my prayer this time is that people would just see Jesus and see that Jesus is our hope. He's our salvation. He's our everything. And so would y'all just join me in praying for that? Pray that through so much heartbreak in the last couple of weeks with the floods, with the shooting, that people would just see Christ. That's my prayer. And I pray that on a daily basis. So you guys join me. Love you guys. Have a good day.